Hi, I'm Elise and welcome to our online beekeeping program. Now, this three-part comprehensive program is going to help you answer a lot of the questions that you have before starting beekeeping, or if you already have bees but don't really know if you're doing what's right. We're going to cover a lot of information, including proper places to be placing your beehives, as well as the proper tools to be using, and also what to expect when you're purchasing bees. But before we get started, I wanted to make sure that you've downloaded your Beginner Beekeeper Toolkit so that we can make sure that you have the tools on hand to take the notes and answer questions as we work through the activities in these 3 sessions. The second thing I want to bring up is that if you really enjoy this course and you're ready to start beekeeping, we have an excellent 5-week online program that'll take you through 10 modules over 94 short videos guiding you through seasonal management from spring all the way into winter. So if you're really considering managing bees and learning how to do it for either your own personal growth or whether it's for profit, or you're looking at expanding an operation that you already have 1 or 2 hives into 100, this is the course for you. You'll see the information below inside your email that we've sent out with this course, and you can see the online course opportunities there. Now, this first session is all about beekeeping equipment and tools to keep you safe. So we're going to jump right in. So the smoker and the hive tool are the 2 most essential tools in beekeeping. The smoker, you're going to light with fuel, and it's going to light up and create a nice dense smoke that's going to disrupt pheromone communication amongst the bees, so they won't even know you're in there. And the hive tool is going to break apart the equipment, wedge apart frames that's bound together by wax and propolis. And propolis is a resin that bees gather from surrounding trees in your area. So you're going to need both these tools no matter what to maintain a beehive. Now we're going to show a quick little video here on how to light a smoker properly so you're not producing ash or any sort of potential fire risk in your backyard. Equipment and tools that will keep you safe and ease your management throughout the beekeeping season. First, we will cover the tools of the trade. Using a smoker is key to ensuring that you have a lot of time in the hive and decrease your risk of getting stung. As mentioned, the smoke breaks down bee pheromone communication and encourages the bees in the colony to gorge themselves on honey. It also works as a tool to move bees out of the way of where you're placing your hands in the hive. Many times, beekeepers find keeping their smoker lit one of the most difficult parts in their beginnings of beekeeping. The key is a good recipe and a good flame. Do not use newspaper or grass and straw. These fire starters produce hot ash and can cause fires in the grass where you're working. I recommend using egg cartons or burlap to start a fire. These create a good and hot flame without creating any hot ash as you pump the billows. Personally, I start with an egg carton, creating a hot and high fire inside my smoker, and add dry wood chips used in a food smoker. These wood chips create a food-safe smoke that smells good but also is light and not hard on the lungs. Once these have ignited, I add more wood chips, but this time they're soaked in water. I'm basically following the strategy used to smoke meat. It works very well. Many beekeepers use burlap, and the trick to this is to roll a narrow length tightly. Light it from the bottom until you get a good flame and slip it fireside down into the smoker. A non-essential piece of beekeeping equipment is a bee brush. Now, the reason that bee brushes are sold in equipment stores, and they're also, to be honest, the same thing as a drafting brush. So if you have one of those, it's great. It allows for you, when you're inspecting your combs or your hives, to be able to brush the bees away without damaging the bees or having to use your hands. You can use a feather, you could use grass in the field of where you're working, but the bee brush is an excellent tool for doing this. The one thing I recommend is do not buy a natural brush. The brush should be plastic handled and plastic bristled. If you're purchasing a wooden handled brush or a brush with natural fibers, if you find out that you have an infection in your hive, you will be transmitting that disease from hive to hive, especially if you're maintaining more than one. So I strongly recommend a plastic brush because then you can rinse it in bleach water and reuse it. So this brush should last you a lifetime. Your safety and comfort while beekeeping is paramount, so it's very important you purchase the proper tools to ensure that you feel safe while beekeeping. It's very important that you feel calm and attentive while inspecting your hive so that you can retain the information you're observing while beekeeping. So for me, I've been beekeeping a long time and I have very little sensitivity to bee venom any longer. So I wear just a bee veil. Now I really like these bee veils. They allow for you to pull them on top of a regular ball cap. And the reason I like that is because when I turn my head, the whole veil moves. There's no static buildup. I also like the fact that it ventilates in the back of my neck so I don't overheat. Now when putting on a veil like this, you're going to pull away from you and stretch this rubber band across your chest so that bees aren't able to creep up and get inside your veil while you're working. I pull it around the back and I tie it across my belly. Now, if this sort of beekeeping veil isn't enough protection for you, even if you choose to wear a long sleeve, then I strongly recommend buying a cotton suit or half suit. Now, this is a full-size suit and it has a veil intact that zips on and off. This not only protects you from getting damage of wax or propolis to the clothes you're wearing underneath, but it also is loose fitting. And so it allows that if you do get a lot of bees on you or bees trying to sting you, they're not able to sting through the fabric. Now you can buy a more expensive version or a better ventilated version, and it's a full ventilated suit and they're really nice. I recommend that you also wear a ball cap under here so you're able to keep the front of the veil away from your face, as well as it keeps the static from building up so that you don't have sweat and hair sticking to your face. Because when you're beekeeping, you're not able to touch your face, and if you can, you might be inviting bees to enter into your veil with you, which is not what you want to be doing. Now, a final tool I don't have here to show you is gloves. You're going to want a comfortable pair of gloves that fit your hands really well. It's very common for beekeepers to wear purple neoprene gloves now because it allows for grip and feel while also decreasing the ability for the bees to sting through the gloves. Now, more commonly or conventionally is leather gloves you can buy from a beekeeping store, and they tend to have cotton that goes up to the elbow, so it allows for ensuring that the bees are unable to enter your full bee suit. I'm not a big fan of those because they're not very easy to sanitize. If you bleach them and dry them wrong, they turn into rawhide. But if you are looking for a cheap and sting-free tool, purchase green dishwashing gloves. Those gloves are thick, good grip, and they also allow for you to be able to grab whatever you need in your hive without much issue. Make sure you stay safe in your apiary. Now, looking at standard beekeeping equipment, you're going to have to consider all of the pieces. They all go together like a puzzle. If you're missing a piece, the puzzle is not complete. So the first piece of equipment you must purchase is a bottom board. Now this is also known as a landing board. This is where the bees are going to be entering your beehive. So this is a standard landing board here. The bees come and go out the bottom at the front here and enter. Now you can purchase these, also known as a screen bottom board. And this allows when the bees groom themselves or groom each other that any sort of parasites on the bees can fall through and not return to the colony. Not all beekeepers maintain with screen bottom boards, so if you don't have one, don't worry about it. But if you're buying equipment from new, I strongly recommend it. For me, I don't use them because our winters are so cold that I prefer to have solid bottom boards to survive the winter. I don't want that extra ventilation. Now, this hive here is called a standard double. So it means that there's standard equipment, double boxes, 2 boxes. So we have a standard box here and a standard box here. This is a single colony, which means it has 1 queen and bees. So inside here we have a single full colony of bees. Now when we go through it, we'll have 2 boxes with 10 frames in each one, or 9 if you prefer, but never less in a 10-frame box. And then there's another piece of equipment in this, which is a 4th piece of equipment, which is called an inner cover. And this actually keeps the bees from welding the frames inside these boxes to your telescoping lid. Now this lid is telescoping, which inhibits ability to fly away in heavy windstorms, as well as keeps rain and water out of the hives. Now this inner cover also works as a barrier for the bees to be coming and going. So you can have an inner cover open where the bees can use the top entrance, or you can roll it over and have it closed where the bees are unable to enter the hive. Now an inner cover tends to be rimmed, which allows for the bees to then ventilate between the top bars and the lid. So that's why you can see all this bee activity on top of the inner cover. Now, every beehive must have an inner cover. Now, when buying bee equipment, you have a few options. You can do standard deep boxes, or you can purchase medium boxes. Now, the challenge with medium boxes is if you're purchasing used bee equipment or bees with equipment with live bees in it, you're going to be getting it in standard size unless otherwise specified. So a lot of times, if you are moving into medium equipment, you're gonna have to make sure you at least have one standard deep so that you can make sure that what you're purchasing with live bees on it fits into your apiary. Now, a lot of beekeepers, especially hobbyist beekeepers, prefer a medium-sized box. They average 70 pounds when full of honey. That's in comparison with 100 pounds for a deep standard box. It's a big difference, especially if you're bending over, lifting, if you have any sort of fragility in your bones or in your hands or in your own physical strength, medium boxes is ideal. So there's a couple of ways that you can go with medium boxes. You can do medium frames with foundation. Now, foundation comes in white or it can come in black. I strongly recommend that you purchase black foundation so that you're better able to see the contrast of white eggs against the black grid. It makes it easier to observe the babies and the activity the queen is taking inside your hive. Now, this foundation isn't essential. You can keep bees without it in your hive, but what the foundation works as is a spinal cord. So when the bees draw the wax out on the foundation and they fill it with honey, you can uncap it, spin it without tearing or damaging the comb that they produce. Now, beekeeping without foundation is very simple. You manage it just the way you would with foundation, but it's a reminder that you won't be able to use a radial extractor or spin the honey out of the comb without the comb being at risk of tearing. When purchasing bee equipment, it is important to have enough equipment for the season ahead, as well as another colony. You should always own double the equipment for each colony you maintain. This is insurance. If your colony decides to swarm, that is, reproduce another colony, you want to make sure you have enough equipment to home that colony. So if you're starting with one beehive, you should purchase enough for 2 colonies. In your workbook, there is a list of beekeeping equipment that you will need to fulfill to maintain a single colony. In the activity, identify if you'll be maintaining medium or deep boxes. How many boxes of each will you need? What kind of protective equipment will you want to get? Are you going to be beekeeping alone, or will you have friends and family join you from time to time? Write down your responses in the list to make for an easier purchasing experience and get an idea of budget. Go online to our website listed in the toolkit book and research local beekeeping equipment suppliers nearest you that could get you what you're looking for. Look at your list and write down the pricing of the products on your list to get an idea of what the startup costs will be. This will help you prepare your budget for beginning beekeeping. So we've just finished session 1, and what I want you to do is to take the time, look through your notes and decide what equipment you have or what equipment you need to get, and look online for local beekeepers and beekeeping suppliers near you. If you can't find those suppliers, go on our website. We have so many resources of high quality suppliers of both bees and equipment that can possibly set you up with an entire beekeeping setup. Now, tomorrow you're going to receive an email from us about session 2, and all it's going to cover is about what to expect when you're purchasing bees, the different ways in which bees come, and what you should anticipate in management when you get them. So take a good night rest, prepare for what you need to be learning for tomorrow because it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll see you then.